folks at Jinko Fishing are not only bringing you the Low Budget Live podcast these days, they want to bring you, the low lifer, a discount on everything on their website. LBL25 at jinkofishing.com is going to save you on those new 10 Cannon topwaters, the array of crankbaits that they have, maybe an offspring buzzer, or what about a high roller rod? So much to choose from at jinkofishing.com. LBL25 is going to save you money, and let them know you are a low lifer. Express Boats, hang the daggum banner. The Bassmaster Classic winning original all welded aluminum bass catching machine. The X21 Pro is what I'm running, but they got the X19, they got the H20, the H18, they got bay boats, they got duck boats. They have a boat for any budget and any style. They've even got pontoons on the veranda pontoon side. Check them out, expressboats.com. Find a dealer near you, and I promise you, you go take a ride, you may be leaving with one. Express Boats, building excitement since 1966.
Damn these Biloxi blues, it happens every night. And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
Nope.
Summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time.
Sweet.
This highway does not know my name, and I don't care. No, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare.
Right to the old trail car right here.
Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low Budget Live, the not so live variety from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill here in beautiful southern middle Tennessee. And this is the podcast for Monday, June the 2nd, you bunch of low lifers. And if this is your first time ever hearing those words and you're like, why is this guy insulting me? Well, it's a term of endearment around these parts. It's what the loyal listeners and viewers of this here podcast refer to themselves as, and they're a rowdy bunch that I'm proud to know. So now you're a low lifer. Put it on a resume. I'm sure it'll get you far in life. I'd rather hang out with the low lifers than anybody else. That's just honest to goodness truth. June, y'all pray for me. Y'all have heard me say on the show, March is normally my busiest, craziest month, and it is. But June this year just may do me in. June is going to be a wild one. Got 4 tournaments to work, 3 Alabama Bass Trails, 1 MPFL, 2 of which are in the same week, 1 in Oklahoma, 1 on Lay Lake outside of Birmingham. But we are all over the place, and then of course slinging boat parts like always in between those. So lots going on in the traveling circus, can't even talk, traveling circus life, that is for sure. But looking forward to the end of this month because family vacation is coming up, and I always enjoy that with my crew. And we're going to turn the phone off, and we're just going to hang out at the beach for about a week, do some fishing, do a lot of eating, do a lot of hanging out. That's what's going to happen. And here in about a month, y'all ain't going to hear from me for about a week. That is for sure. That is coming, but we got to get through June, so y'all be praying for me. June is going to be wild. Starting right now, as you're listening to this, I'm on the road. Recording this a little bit early because of that. Lots and lots and lots of travel this month. So appreciate y'all thinking about me. American bass anglers. We got some craziness, and I've seen a lot of anglers post about this. I've seen this pop up a bunch. Old Slick Johnson been talking about this. Athens, Alabama, American Bass Anglers, ABA as it's known, military bass as it's been known, writing bad checks, not paying people and writing bad checks for tournament winnings. Not cool, not cool, not cool. These guys have been around forever. Same people have really been in charge forever. Not all right. Not all right. So get the word out. You don't want to go fish an ABA event. They have events all over the place. It sounds like that ain't the place to be right now. If they writing bad checks or if they're not paying people for these top 150 solos or whatever they are and some of these other events, that's allegedly what's going on. Don't give them your money if they ain't giving it back to you. So just a word of warning there. That's the word on the street. And be careful. Be careful. That is for sure. Another hot button topic this week that I'm sure a lot of you have heard about because, Bassmaster does their own podcast now where they try to get stuff out before everybody else can talk about it. And I don't blame them. Why not? They should do 2 or 3 more podcasts, I think. Forward-facing sonar in 2026. Looks like there could be a change with the Elite Series. And I like to say to Bassmaster and the decision makers there, welcome aboard. The rest of the industry decided to try to do something. And I really did when they didn't do anything with forward-facing sonar. I figured they would let everybody else be a guinea pig in a sense. And who could blame them? It's like, well, MPFL went total ban, MLF, BPT did several different things. Let's see what the response is from the fans. And the response has been pretty daggum good, I would say. So now between anglers upset, fans upset, now they're deciding they're going to do something. What that will look like, still kind of cloudy. Will it be half events with, half events without? Will it be a day with, a day without? Who knows where this is headed? But it does sound like they will be making some sort of change. They've had an angler vote, and I think they're going to have another one, but it does sound like that will be the case for 2026. And I love my Garmin Live Scope. You hear me say it. I'm not an anti forward facing sonar guy. I use it a lot. I enjoy it. I do understand where it sucks to watch it all the time. I do understand where it's one dimensional at times in tournament coverage when it's a lot of folks pinging them in and whatnot. But it will be interesting to see what they do. Again, welcome to the party. The rest of the industry made some bold moves this year, and welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. It's rare to say that about Bassmaster, who's been such an industry leader, the OG, the industry leader. But, they decided to do whatever it was they did this year, limit the screen size to you can only have like 2 72-inch flat screens and only one transducer. It will be interesting to see what they do come up with for next year. Got a couple tournaments coming up. We got BPT at Kentucky Lake. Going to be an interesting tournament. I'm looking forward to seeing a June tournament on Kentucky Lake because I still have memories of what Kentucky Lake was in June not that long ago. And the lake is in an upswing. So this one will be fun to watch. I really do believe. And then you've got Bassmaster going to be at 10 Killer coming up. And then the MPFL at Lake Eufaula, a flooded Lake Eufaula right now. Fingers crossed the water comes down and we can have us a good event there. But lots of bass fishing in June across all leagues, lots of live coverage to check out. So there you go. Lucky fans out there. Speaking of MLF, the gentleman we are about to talk to is a guy that has been making a lot of noise for the last few years. He has a Tackle Warehouse Invitational win on the Potomac River. He has amassed over $500,000 in a very short period of time with MLF, and he just recently took the heavy hitters title up there at Smith Mountain Lake. We're going to catch up with him right now, get him on the hook, presented by Eagle Claw Fishing. Ladies and gentlemen, go Vols with another Tennessee boy, Nick Hatfield. All right, as promised, here he is, the heavy hittingest East Tennessean right now, Nick Hatfield. Thank you for joining me, buddy.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. So, like I was saying before, we was chatting there. I like watching the LBL, man. You got a good thing going here, and it's pretty cool to be a part of it now.
Well, man, I really appreciate it. And listen, anybody that says go Vols like I do, I appreciate it. And you can say off the record, I was like, hey, before we start this thing, before I allow you to talk to these lowlifers, are you a Tennessean?
That's right.
Does like the Vols, because I mean, our buddy Mullins, he does like the Vols. He bleeds orange, but like he pulls for Duke in basketball. Like I can't. I know. With the program.
He's got something wrong with him when it comes to that for sure.
Well, he may have something wrong with him all the time. You know,
he might have a little bit of something going on there.
I love me some Mullins. I got to talk to Mullins when we were up there for Douglas for the MPFL. He was my go-to for, hey, what area is this? What do I need to call it? What do I not need to call it? How are they catching them? And we were texting. It was funny on the final day when Welcher got on a roll. He said, "That's a wrap. That's it." He was catching so many good fish, but he never caught a big one. And then Canterbury had that 5 and a 3 pretty early. And I was like, not so fast.
Yeah, not so fast. He's a good one to talk to about it, though. I mean, that sucker knows that lake like the back of his hand, dude. He spent a lot of time out there, a lot more than I have.
As we get into summertime, the folks at Gill Fishing have your back. They want you to be more comfortable, whether you're out there on the water, maybe you're spending all day at the ballpark. They can keep you cool. They can keep you dry. They've got shorts, sun gloves, sun shirts, and some of the best rain suits in the game at gillfishing.com. And the best part is they want you to save just for being a lowlifer, just for listening to this weed eater voice. LBL20 is the code you're going to use at checkout to let them know you're a lowlifer and save 20% at gillfishing.com. Pro Guide Batteries, ProGuideBatteries.com is where you can find everything they make, from their lead acid batteries to their AGMs to their new charger line and the all-new Alpha Series lithium batteries. Do not trust people that have not been in the battery industry for years and years and years. Like the folks from Pro Guide, they have 40 years of experience in the battery game. They are not a fly-by-night company. Check them out. ProGuideBatteries.com. Use code LBL10 at checkout to let them know you're a lowlifer and save 10%. Baitworks.com, bait-wrx.com, the exclusive online home for this little guy right here, the LOB Power Finesse Jig with that 3-aught trocar hook, finer than frog hair skirt material, and it is a bass catcher. Do not just take my word for it. Get you some. Try them out. I promise you, you will not regret it. And while you're there, check out everything Baitworks has to offer. They've got pretty much all you could ever need to go on a fishing trip. Dunkin-10, DUNKIN-10 will save you money at checkout, and let them know you are a lowlifer. And last but certainly not least, the folks from Old Boy Outfitters want you to say, "What's up, old boy?" Wear your heart on your sleeve. If you love hunting, if you love fishing, they are an outdoor lifestyle brand. T-shirts, shorts, sun shirts, really cool hats, a little bit of everything. Oldboyoutfitters.com. You can use code OLDBOYLUKE, O-L-E boy, Luke at checkout to save some cash. No doubt about it. Mullins has got a lot of experience on Douglas and a lot of big wins, over the years. But what lakes in that area? So you're from that East Tennessee area. What lakes did you cut your teeth on? I mean, is Douglas one of those, or are you?
I started out just fishing with my dad, just little club derbies, just little local stuff, 10, 12, 15 boats most of the time. And most of it was on Douglas and Cherokee.
Okay.
And, that was back when you could actually go down there and catch a bass bigger than 4 pounds. But, they're really good lakes. And that's like we were talking earlier. They're just kind of in a, they were in a downtick there. And I think it's coming back. I think both of them they'll bounce back. And, obviously Douglas has got a bunch of fish in it. But other than those two, we've got Boone Lake, Watauga Lake, and South Holston. And they're all three really great fisheries. Boone Lake, they had to drain it I think they drained it for 7, 8 years down to the river channel to fix the dam. And it would throw out some high 20-pound bags, occasionally. And then they drained it down to the river channel to fix the dam. They've since then stocked it with a bunch of Florida strains. And that place is, it's going to be back on the radar before you know it. They're catching a lot of fish up there. It's a pretty cool little fishery. It's smaller, but it's a cool fishery. And then, of course, Holston and Watauga, those places are just smallmouth factories. They got big green ones in them too. But, all the way around me here, in any direction, within 30, 45 minutes, I've got some pretty cool places to fish.
And competition too, right? Like I feel like there are pockets in the country that breed tournament fishing anglers. It kicks them out.
Absolutely.
East Tennessee, of course, I'm a Middle Tennessee boy, but East Tennessee is one of those spots, man. I mean, East Texas is one of those areas. Obviously South Florida, you've got all these little pockets that kind of surround lakes. And man, I think as far as pound for pound, the anglers that East Tennessee has kicked out over the years, whether low lifers or pro fishing fans know them or not. You and I know them. Some of these
Yeah.
names that came out, the Maldens and the I mean,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
dude, there's the Knuckles and the like.
Greg
Obviously,
Powers. Oh, there's a bunch of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
CP man, yeah, CP and of course our buddy, Wesley Strader, David Mullins in that group.
You got a bunch of them. The list
Brad
goes
Knight
on.
and my
Yeah.
buddy Brad Knight winning the cup. But that area, man, what do you think it is about that area? Is it just because there's so many diverse fisheries, or what is it that makes you guys so strong when you get on a national trail?
Yeah. I think it's definitely like uh, the diversity of the fisheries. We got a lot of like deep, clear lakes, and then Cherokee and Douglas. They get a lot of color to them. Used to get a lot more color to them than they do now. But I think really the fluctuation of the lakes. Douglas and Cherokee go down 30, 40 feet in the winter, and then come back up. You guys were here on Douglas at the MPFL, and it was completely full.
Mm-hmm.
Open full up in the bushes. And really throughout the year, it doesn't matter really in the spring and the fall when they're changing a lot, you're constantly chasing a different bite. I mean, they change it so much. The fish are, they're either out here on a ledge or they're up there in the bushes. I mean, it constantly changes. And I think that has a lot to do with it. I think, just as far as looking for fish and putting a pattern together on fish, I think that helps, a lot of guys. It's definitely helped me when I go across the country and fish other places. And just the diversity of them. A lot of the things we do all over the country besides grass, and we have some grass on Chickamauga, if you consider that to be East
Yeah,
Tennessee,
no,
which it
it's
pretty
not
much
far.
is.
Yeah, not far.
So yeah, so I think just mixing all that in and being able to fish grass, fish deep clear lakes, fish all the stuff in between, and having to chase so many different bites, I think it puts together some well-rounded anglers.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, man. And like you said, chick, you can put chick in that same region. It's a little bit further down the road, but that's another beautiful thing about our state. Even though it's a big old state, it's a wide state. I think
Mhm.
it take you about 7 hours to drive that thing tip to tip. If you were to start down there in West Tennessee and end up all the way up past your way. But it's also we're pretty centrally located. I feel
Yeah.
like to a lot of other areas. You're not far from Gunnersville. You're not far from lakes in Carolina, Murray and Hartwell and some of the Santee even. You're not that far. It's not a bad drive. So I think that's what makes it for
Mhm.
me. That's what makes it dangerous to be from that area.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, we're just a hop, skip, and a jump across the mountains to something else that we haven't been to before, and it definitely adds up over time. That's been that. Growing up here and fishing in college and getting to travel early on and see a lot of the different places, and it started to click for me, and I've been lucky and very blessed so far. So, I'm very proud to be from East Tennessee and to represent this area for sure.
Man, I am. I love hearing you say that. I love it. I feel like I've just got so many dear friends in that part of the world, as I mentioned, that I feel like I'm connected there, even though I didn't grow up there. People always laugh at me on the show because I say Southern Middle Tennessee, and they're like, "Why you say that?" I was like, "Because look, dude, Tennessee is West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, and East Tennessee. It just is. That's what they're,
Yeah, that's
you
how
know,
it goes.
that's how it is, man. But East Tennessee for fishing, like whether it's bait builders up there, the amount of amazing crankbaits, the techniques I think about, like the tight lining or float and
Hmm.
fly, or let's just throw this out there. I'll put our flag. I'll put this flag in East Tennessee. Let's talk about Demiki rigs, okay? All you minnow shakers, them East Tennessee boys were doing that before it was cute,
Oh
okay?
yeah, oh yeah, man, that was wild. I kind of I was lucky enough to get in on that deal when it was early and when it was new. And what a lot of people don't understand is we're out here live scoping them now, throwing it at individual ones. But before all that stuff, we were using 2D, dropping it
Right.
straight down, heavy head, and man, it was unreal, unreal. And I'm really thankful I was a part of that. It was pretty nuts there for a few years.
No doubt about it, man. But it's funny whenever it has taken over bass fishing, obviously, when you can utilize forward facing the jig head minnow. But I always think about that. I'm like, man, them boys up there been doing it a minute, way
Yeah.
before we were casting at individual fish. Now, I dare say that the guys were doing it didn't know how powerful it would have been. Could you have seen 150 foot out
Oh,
front?
I know. I
You
know.
know, because most of
Mhm.
that was related to the bottom. That wasn't
It
necessarily
was, yeah.
fish. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, man. But so where did you go to college?
So I went to it was a smaller private school at the time. It's now a public university, but it's Tusculum College and it's here
Okay.
in Greenville, Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Smaller school, but when I got there, I wanted to play golf in college. I had a couple of small offers, but I was really burned out on golf. And my dad he bought an old boat, and he bought the boat for the motor. It had a newer motor on it. It had a Johnson Venom 200 on it, and he's a bullet guy, so he had a bullet, and
You
he
gotta
wanted that. He
East
wanted.
Tennessee.
Oh yeah, 100%. And he wanted that 200 Venom Johnson on his boat, so he bought this old Ranger. He robbed the motor off of it, put his old motor on the Ranger, and he was trying to sell it. Couldn't sell it. I begged him to let me keep it. He let me keep it, and I'm like 16. He bought me an old Toyota truck, so I had a Toyota and a 1983 model Ranger. I think it was a 364 V is what I had. And from the time I was 16 to, graduating high school, man, I burnt the wheels off of that thing. Like quite literally, I pretty much crashed it and totaled everything I had at one point in time. But anyhow, so get out of high school, I was thinking, man, I could play golf in college, but I decided not to. I decided to stay home, go to school here, and I knew that college fishing was a thing. So I went through the steps, set it up at the school, and there were some great people over there. And a professor of mine, Jason Jones, he's from Mississippi. He's a good old dude. He helped me kind of set up everything with the school, and we got it going. And man, I got some really great friends that I made through that, and I credit a lot of that stuff. When I fished in college, it taught me a lot. We were traveling, and I'd never seen lakes outside of East Tennessee, pretty much, other than Gunnersville, and it was really cool and really important. For my career now, I think it definitely helped me get to where I'm at.
Man, so that's a lot of responsibility to take on, actually starting the club, starting the college fishing at your university there, man. That's at college. That is, and I love hearing those stories because two reasons. I think it says a lot about where we're at in the sport as far as the level of competition and why it's so much stouter now. You just described it. I had never been out of East Tennessee fishing. I get to go fish nationally because of college fishing. I get used to traveling. That's the biggest thing, man. I think when you decide, okay, well, I'm done around the house. I'm done with my bass club. I'm done with BFLs or whatever the case is. And now I'm going to go to whether it's the Toyotas, the Opens. Travel sometimes. If you've not traveled, just the logistics of it, being on the road with a boat. How do I charge my batteries? Where in the heck am I going to stay?
Yeah.
What are we going to eat? Where's the boat ramp? I mean, as silly as that sounds, man, you guys that have fished in college, and now there's so many more, so many colleges doing this, high school kids doing it as well.
Yeah, and these boys are good too.
They're so good, dude. And you get that learning curve out of the way. But then the other reason I like hearing these stories is I love that we've gotten to a point in the sport where that's an option for a kid coming out of high school. If he wants to bass fish in college, I know a young man from my hometown that had it not been for bass fishing, he would have never attempted to go to school. That's the only reason he went. He's ate up with it. And he talked to me about it before he went. He's like, man, I don't know. I think I'm just going to go fish some tournaments. And I said, dude, just give it a chance. Just give it a chance. You never know. Fishing might not work out. Maybe it paves the way to something else for you. And now he's doing it, man. And he's doing well in college fishing, but he's also doing well in college. And I love hearing those stories. Now I will say, Nick, I don't know you that well. Golf pays better than fishing.
Oh, 100%. Here's the thing though. I think, in making that decision to not, chase golf, it was pretty much, I guess as a junior in high school, I was close to a scratch golfer. And then my senior year, I was fishing so much, I wasn't a scratch golfer, but
Okay.
I was never good enough to compete with those boys on TV. There's no way, absolutely no way. I mean, I was looking at going to a small school and trying to break 40 and make the varsity team type of deal. It was I'm not that good at golf, so and you can ask a lot of people. We go play sometimes. We get a chance on the road. Heck, Bobby and Chris Lane whoop up on me most of the time. So
Really?
yeah, I'm not that in tune with the clubs anymore.
The Lane boys beating up on you on golf, man. That's the last thing I expected to hear on this podcast is that
I
the
get
Lane.
Chris for the most part, but I'll give Bobby some credit. He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Chris
that's
is if Chris watches this, he's probably gonna be mad for me saying that. He's not bad, but I can beat him for sure.
I could see Chris getting mad and slinging a club or something, maybe.
Man,
Every,
I haven't ever seen him get that worked up on the golf course. I think it's common to him, man. He's pretty level headed out there. He has a good time.
I do.
I
I think it's amazing that there are that many pro fishermen that do golf because people
oh
kind of
yeah.
all they do is fish. But I know so many guys in the fishing industry, especially on the tournament side, that man, they get a minute. That's what they go do.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of fun. I have fun playing with some of those guys, man. It's good for multiple things, but it gets our mind off of, the task at hand and just kind of refreshes you a little bit. So it's good to get out there with them and cut up a little bit and have a good time.
No doubt about it, dude. Well, let's talk about the task at hand. You just accomplished, I'm sure, a big dream of yours to get a win. You've had multiple close calls within the Major League Fishing organization since you've been there. You have, I mean, been all over hoisting a trophy, and then at heavy hitters, you absolutely blow the doors off the thing. And man, I got to watch earlier in the week. We were kind of conflicting with MPFL there, so I
Yeah.
didn't get to watch that final round. But there was when they went to you, there was a feeling. And dude, I cover enough tournaments between Alabama Bass Trail and MPFL. You kind of you're like, that he's pretty locked in. Like he's locked in. You kind of get a feeling. And watching you one day, I thought, man, this might be next week. And then I'm checking the standings that day. I didn't get to watch that final day. And dude, you just put it to them like against that top 10. Because when you run down those names, man. And I know you did when you started at 0 and you guys all rolled out that day. Did you think about it at all as you're idling out?
I mean, absolutely. You have to, you think anytime you're in the top 10 and it's all zeroed out, you're like, man, it's anybody's ball game. Anybody can roll up to the right place, right time and get it done. It's crazy to hear you say that about watching me because I've had 2 or 3 other guys say that they saw me and they thought the same thing. Like, I don't know why, but I feel like he might win this week. And I had multiple people say that. It was just really weird. But, it was pretty unexpected. I really didn't think I had a chance. I definitely thought I had a chance going out there that last morning, mainly because we went to a 3-pound minimum. And I just looked through Score Tracker and seen, a lot of guys were catching a lot of twos. And me and Justin were obviously, I caught a handful of twos each day too, but the average size fish I was catching was 3+. And I was like, it may work out for me. And obviously I knew that a lot of those guys were beating up the same fish, fishing up the river. And I just thought, man, maybe it'll work out to where they kind of run out of fish and I can still catch 40, 50 pounds and get it done. And I was just talking through it in my head and thinking that maybe 45 or 50 pounds would win. I never thought for 1 second that those guys wouldn't catch them any better, or I thought they would catch them a lot better than they did. It was pretty crazy. I say that it was unexpected, but it's weird. It's really weird. Like sometimes when I won on the Potomac in the invitationals a couple of years ago, I kind of had like, I don't know, just everything was clicking, everything was going right. And you kind of get that weird feeling like, man, I might, like I might have a really good chance at winning this week. And you don't ever know for sure.
That's
But,
right.
about halfway through heavy hitters, I was like, I don't know why. I just feel like I might win this week. Like, and I really didn't have a chance. I mean, you got Michael Neal and Justin Lucas catching 70 pounds a day. There's like, am I going to go out there and catch 70 pounds? There's no way I can do that. I wasn't around enough, fish to catch 70 pounds in a day. But then when it, like I said, switched to a 3 pound minimum, I'm like, maybe I do have a little bit more of a chance. And I kind of had that feeling and just went out there and got it done. It happened quick. It was early and I got out to that big lead. And man, I don't know. I kept asking, like, I normally don't ask for many score tracker updates. I know I got to catch them no matter what they're catching, so it doesn't really matter. But I kept asking my boat official Josh. I'm like, any changes? And he just kept saying no, no changes. I'm like, I couldn't believe that they weren't catching them any better. I mean, it was really mind boggling. But I still thought Justin's gonna pull up somewhere because it was only like 10 to 15 pounds of a lead all day. I'm like, he's gonna pull up somewhere at some point, him or Dustin or somebody, and they're gonna catch 20 pounds off of one place, and it's gonna be a top ball game. And it just never happened. And that third period was brutal, man. I mean, I fished for 2.5 hours, fished my tail off, didn't get a bite. It was the most brutal thing ever. Felt like it took a year for it to go by.
I
And
bet. Yeah.
about 30, yeah, like 30 minutes left. He's still no updates. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I'm probably going to win. And then, of course, like 10, 15 minutes left. I'm like, yeah, I'd say I got it. It's going to be hard for him too now. But just wild. I mean, I didn't even know what to say to the camera. It's, it is one of those things you dream about. I made the Bass Pro Tour, and man, them guys are no joke. Like, it's crazy how good at catching bass them guys are. Like, it's absolutely insane how good they are at finding them and figuring out, the right moves to make, decision making. It's when you really break it down and think about the big picture, it's crazy what they can do. And to be able to sit here and talk to you and say that I won an event against them guys and just put the pieces of the puzzle together, dude, it's pretty crazy. It's really surreal, and I hope I can do it again. I'm ready to win another one.
Well, I'm fortunate to get to talk to a lot of fantastic anglers like yourself on this show over the last 8 years. And it's funny once it clicks and you get, like you said, you got the invitational win on the Potomac, but against this group, and it's a different format.
Yeah.
PPT is a totally different ball game. And now this year, forward facing thing, you guys have a lot more challenges coming your way. You got to make decisions matter more than ever. And you just said Michael Neal and Justin reckon up 70 pounds. That's what blows my mind about all. Yeah, I know every fish counts, but buddy, that is as good of a day as most people will ever have, ever in their life. And these guys do it every day they go out. It's incredible. It's incredible. But we see anglers get on these rolls, man, and you guys are headed to Kentucky Lake next. I mean, you know a little bit about that Tennessee River. So
yeah, that's right.
Let's keep this momentum going, dude.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's like we were talking earlier, the diversity of the fisheries we got. I grew up on Douglas. They get schooled up offshore really well. You crank them with a big plug, all that good stuff. I love to do that. I would have told you that's my favorite way to fish. Probably not so much anymore, but I love to do it, and I hope that's what's going on out there. It'd be nice to graph up some skews and sling that big plug at them.
No doubt. Listen, if you from Tennessee, you know how to wind that old plug around, especially coming from Douglas. What is your favorite way to fish now, though? What you're saying what's your favorite? If you could just pick a technique you feel like you're the best at right now.
Man, I don't know. I've had this question asked of me a bunch here lately, and it's crazy. I grew up with older guys that kind of took me under their wing, telling me, most people are good at a certain particular thing. They have their strengths, and I've always tried to figure out, like, what am I really good at? And I don't know. Like, I still don't know how to even answer that. I like to do a lot of things, and I really just like to catch them. So I'll catch them however I can. It doesn't really matter. I feel like I'm pretty good at doing a lot of different things. I just tend to really like catching them shallower more now, whether it be, they're schooled up shallow or they're just, roaming around up shallow and you got to grind for them. I really, in the past couple years, have really enjoyed catching them, 5 foot or less. I mean, I feel like when you can find them up there, whether it be a school or, you know, a pod of them up there somewhere, it's more sneaky to find them up there now than it is out there in 20, 25 foot. So I really enjoy that. And it seems like when you're able to find them up there, you've got them to yourself a little bit more. So I would say just, you know, I like to catch them shallower more now than I do deep. And I used to be all about being out there in the abyss.
I think it's interesting in 2025 in pro fishing, and I'm sure there'll be some buzzards in the comments say, "Well, it's causes live scope." I can't wait to hear this, but I do feel like there aren't specialists anymore like there were when I was growing up. And what I mean by that is Denny Brower was just going to beat the brakes off of you with a jig, no matter what. But not everybody fished a jig. And then you had Van Dam was kind of known for power fishing, but mainly like spinner baiting was his deal. And then cranking, you know, later in his career kind of became his deal, and throwing a jerk bait or whatever. But the Hackneys of the world, or Shaw Grigsby was a sight fisherman. But I do feel like when you look at the most successful anglers now, and not just 2025, the last, hell, I would say 10 years, honestly.
Yeah.
Your Wheelers, your Kyle Welchers, what you just said is what they are. They just do everything. They'll beat you doing whatever. Oh, we're going to go down here and we're at Okeechobee and it's a mat flipping tournament. Well, they'll be in the top 20. Well, now we're going to go out here. It's a deep cranking tournament. Now it's a minnow pinging tournament. And, you know, this one's a post spawn, you know, wacky worm fry garden. I just feel like we lost the specialist at some point, and maybe it's because of the schedules we have now. I don't know. Or maybe the fish are more scattered out. Whatever the case is, it is very hard to win doing one thing anymore, I feel like.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, and I think you know, you really look at the schedule, they are a little different than they used to be. But I remember when I was in high school fishing and I'd started out in that little Ranger, I remember getting a Bassmaster magazine and seeing a technique that I'd never heard of. And of course, it showed in there like what you need, how to rig it. And I'd never thrown something like that before. Like, for example, I know one time I saw the drop shot in there, and I'd never thrown a drop shot. I'd only thrown a finesse worm on a shaky head or a Texas rig. I go out there and I take just a bullet sinker, just a lead bullet sinker, and tie it on the end of my line, put my hook on there, and I go out to Douglas and I catch fish on it. And it was like I was addicted to that. I literally loved getting those magazines and watching videos. And of course, as I got older, you know, by the time I was about out of high school, YouTube was exploding. So there was a lot more on YouTube and stuff. So I watched some of that, and man, I loved doing that. I loved seeing a new technique or something that I hadn't heard of, and actually going and trying it myself. And it was really cool some of the times that I would try some of those things and go to the lake and I'd catch a big one or I'd catch several on it, and I'm like, holy cow, this is awesome. Like, what else is out there? You know, what else can I do? And you know, just traveling the country like I did, fishing early on in college, you know, you see so many different places like Okeechobee, and then you're in Texas, and then you're up in New York fishing for smallmouth. So I think it's just a culmination of all that, and just the desire to catch bass, man.
No doubt about it, dude. It makes me smile thinking about when you said drop shot. I remember the first time I ever heard about it. I remember the first time I ever went to do it. I did it on Wilson Lake. I remember the first fish I ever caught on it, and I was like, "Guess who's Aaron Martins now, son?" I mean, you know, like I remember like coming home and telling my dad, like, "We got this new deal. We got it. We got to go. We got to start doing this all the time." And I remember being 19 years old in a team tournament and seeing one on a hummingbird on 2D and like 30 feet of water on Wheeler Lake. And my dad and I were catching the crap out of them, and had been, and we'd kind of drifted off this hump, and I see a mark down there, and I dropped my drop shot to it, and I could see my line, you know, and I'd gotten pretty tuned up with it a little bit. And my dad was like, "That ain't no bass. Come on, we got to go." And it goes, and it was a 4-pounder. That cold,
man.
Do that again. Do that again. And we got back to the ramp, and I remember him telling people, "It's like, my boy, man, he's been drop shotting him. He sees him on that screen. He catches him on the drop shot."
Yeah.
But I remember those days, man, of not knowing, and none of us know everything about fishing, obviously, but man, new techniques, and I still do it, man. Listen, I've got Baitworks pulled up on my computer on a second screen right now, ordering some baits that I heard about at MPFL last week that I'm not trying. I'm a junkie for it, man.
Same here,
dude. And and I think everybody listening, watching this right now that bass fishes like we do, you get that feeling of when you get a bite on something you've never had a bite on, and then you get multiple bites with that, dude. There is there's better feeling, dude.
Nothing better. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I like just taking stuff, and even at heavy hitters, the free rig on day 2, man, I whacked them on that sucker. And a free rig's something that I've dabbled with the past few years, but I've never caught them on it as good as I did at Smith Mountain Lake. I don't know why that is, but I've been catching a few fish on it this year, and dang, did they bite it over there. And it is just one of those things, man. A free rig, not many people, they probably don't throw it much over there. It's probably just a little bit of a different presentation, and heck, it helped me win. So I'm the same way. I'm a junkie about it. If I see something new or hear something that I haven't done, I'm going to try it, or I'm going to see where I can get my hands on some of it.
There's no doubt, man. I'm crawling around boats when I'm at ABTs and MPFLs. I'm looking. I'm always, man. I'm like, really, especially there's a few boys that fish MPFL that will remain nameless, but they're always up to sneaky, no good, craziest bass fishing techniques you'll ever see. And I'm always like, all right, what are we? And they're good about talking about it for the most part off camera. But dude, you just said it, free rig. Never tied one on, but I'm fixing to add to this order when we're finished recording. I'm going to give me some goods for that. What bait are you throwing on your free rig?
Man, I like to throw just pretty much anything you would put on a Carolina rig or a Texas rig. I'm not sponsored by G-Crack at all, but I was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that in the bait gallery.
Yeah, I was throwing the bellow shad, but in a green pumpkin color on it, and they really like that thing. That thing smells like popcorn and cat pee or something. I don't know. It's pretty weird, but they bite it. But that's what I was using over there. But I in practice, I slung that free rig out there with a baby brush hog on it, just a green pumpkin one. And I didn't pull on it 3 times and caught a 6.5. And I was like, okay. So I literally didn't make another cast with it, put it away, pulled it out there day 2, or actually I caught some on it day 1 too, and just used it in the tournament, and I caught a lot of fish on it. So just pretty cool. I love doing that. Like you were saying, there's no better feeling than trying a technique or getting your hands on something you haven't done, and then you start catching them on it, especially to win a tournament like that. It wasn't like the number 1 bait for me, but on day 2, it definitely helped me get, into 3rd place.
Yeah, it played, and something about G-Crack and heavy hitters, little Alton.
No, that's
G-Crack. Yeah, that's wild, and I will agree with you. So Alton's got a new one of the G-Crack, and I apologize to my buddy, little Alton. I forget what his new chatterbait trailer is called. It's like a bellow shad or something. I forget. It's a trailer, and dude, I have some of the others, and I've not paid any attention to the smell. And I opened a bag of those in my boat not long ago, and I'll show you the text I sent him. I'm like, I don't know what in the hell y'all are putting on this, but it ain't all right, dude. My whole boat smells like this crap. Now, it's nasty. It gets on your hands. But shout out G-Crack, that makes some really cool stuff.
Yeah, for sure, man. I don't know what they're putting in that, but we probably don't want to know. But the bass like it.
Yeah. Popcorn and cat pee is a pretty good way to describe something, Nick.
Yeah.
Popcorn and cat pee. Yeah, I'm not sure how to describe it. I'm going to have to think about that. I really was pretty grossed out when I opened the bag of these new trailers that I got from little AJ. He's got me bought their little Q bombs. He's got me buying Amakamushis or whatever in the crapper. I bought all kind of crap with him. he's to blame for my American Express bill half the dang time. All that Japanese stuff though, man, I'm fixated with. That's I'll run the scoreboard up on all that stuff all the time, just because when there's a home run with it, as you well know, it's going to hit a bunch of them.
Yeah, that's for sure. I got with Mega Bass this year, and I've been playing with a lot of their stuff. They got a new jerk bait out. It's a 110 shallow runner, and dude, that thing is killer. It is so cool. It's got a little cut bill on it, and that thing, just the way it darts, you can work it so fast. But that's kind of where all my attention has went as far as tackle, is to the Japanese side of things. And hopefully one day I get to go to Japan and snoop around. I'd probably have to take 2 or 3 suitcases and a freaking dump truck of money over there. But, um, that's I really try to watch a lot of the videos I see coming out of Japan, and pay attention to the tackle, because, if you watch the elites or anything like that, you see Koyoya and Taku, man, they do some crazy stuff, and those guys are so good. The Japanese guys are just really good with finesse and new techniques and stuff that a lot of our fish over here just haven't seen.
Well, I think there's a lot of that, and then you have to pay attention to it now because our fish are so pressured on every fishery. There are tournaments. There are more tournaments than ever, and I think, man, just that extra little edge every now and then, as goofy as we all thought a fuzzy dice was about a year ago. Now it's one of those things that I've got redneck buddies of mine that ain't never thrown anything but a jig. They're like, "Hey man, you seen that fuzzy dice, boy?" And I caught him a day down on Wilson on that fuzzy dice. And you're like, "What? You're throwing a fuzzy dice? What is going on?" Like people starting to pay attention, to this kind of stuff. And bass about a lot of different things. We're learning that. And I do think you got to pay attention to that. And even going back to like Aaron Martin's, the legend that he was, a lot of his influence was Japanese based, because he was hooked up with some Japanese company, like you're saying, with Mega Bass and Sunlines of, you know what I mean? Like he had connections to Japan, and a lot of West Coast anglers did. And a lot of his finesse ways he was learning.
Absolutely.
That's where a lot of his influence was. And so I think you're a dummy if you don't pay attention.
Not paying attention. That's right.
If you're serious about it. And dude, congrats on being with Mega Bass, because that's just cream of the crop, man, as far as engineering standpoint, their baits. And I don't have just a full box of everything that Mega Bass has. I'm always intrigued by some of the stuff you see that's not available in the US.
Oh, I know.
That's the stuff that I'm like, okay. And I've got some of that stuff that I've been able to get a hold of over the years. But obviously the Vision 110 is just a staple in almost everybody's tackle boxes these days. But the shallow runner sounds really, really interesting. I fished this week on a lake. I actually told you this a little earlier, but a lake they were schooling on, they're schooling shallow. I could see them on scope in like 5 feet of water. And a normal jerk bait, and when they weren't up, right, and a normal jerk bait will get too deep. Yeah, you can't be a bubble, and so that will play for
that 110 SR. It's hard to get it to hit 4 feet. It's hard to get it to hit the bottom, and that's really it was a player for me at Heavy Hitters. It was a really good bait that I used to find a lot of the fish, and I caught some early on in the tournament. And then, of course, at Chickamauga in that last Bass Pro Tour event, it was a shad spawn deal, and they were up on a bar in like 2 or 3 foot of water, and I wrecked them on that thing. And the regular 110 I was throwing, man, I'd come back and it would have 1/2 inch thick of red clay mud on the bill. And that 110 SR, you just keep it moving as fast as you want, and it's not going to hit the bottom. It's pretty cool. It stays up, and for that shallow water deal, it's definitely a pretty cool bait.
And it's new. It's coming this year.
They released it a few weeks ago. Actually, they released it around Redcrest, so it's been out since probably like late April.
Okay, so we can get our hands on it if you can find it. Okay,
absolutely.
So it's all right. Well, again, I'm fixing to add to cart the second we're done. We're done chatting about bass fishing. I'm going to be spending money, and then the triple threat, my lovely bride, is going to say, "What?" Just like, so I was in studio at the MPFL event there, and Fat Cat was telling me about something that he had talked to somebody about, and I spent like a couple hundred while we were in a commercial break, and my wife sees the debit card stuff go off. She texts me, she's like, "How are you spending money when you're working? Like, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Commercial break, honey," and I'm in the bass fishing.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
Dude, it's not good, man. If I had half the money back that I have spent on tackle over the years, I would be scared to know what I could do. I mean, golly, man.
I know. I don't even like to think about it. Just the money I've spent in rods and reels and all the tackle that I've lost in the bottom of the lake and stuff. Oh my gosh,
dude. I think about when you and you know this all too well, when you travel the country and we've got all this crap already, but oh man, we're going to Champlain, or I'm going to Rayburn, or I'm going where. I'm like, ooh, well, they bought that out there. They don't bite that at Pickwick. I got to get $300 worth of that before I go. And then you get out there and you catch them on the same thing you catch them on at home, or
yeah, you don't even throw anything you bought from the store.
I remember going up north the first time, and everybody's like, spy bait. And I bet I spent $500 on spy baits, and most of them still in the pack in my shop down here.
Yeah, I've done it too. Yeah, it gets me about every time we go somewhere. I'll get ideas in my head, and next thing you know, I spent $300 or $400 on a bunch of crap. You go up there and you catch them on the stuff you had in the.
Whoop. Yeah, tackle addiction is a real thing, and I think they need, like Alcoholics Anonymous, we need Tackle Addicts Anonymous. My wife would sign me up immediately for that. All right, Dick, obviously coming off this big win, big old payday, and in the Hatfield world, you need that right now. We always need money, but you got some, I guess, just snooping around. You got a big change coming in life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually found out when I was at the Harris chain earlier this year, my wife's pregnant, and we're having twin boys. So pretty wild. I never thought I would be a father to twins. It's pretty crazy still to think about, but they're due in October. So that's good. It's pretty much during the off season. It's going to mess up my deer hunting a little bit, but I think it'll be okay. So got that, and we're trying to finish up the house we're building, and it's every day I'm home trying to get it done. But yeah, we're trying to prepare and act like we know what we're doing, but I don't think we're ready. I think you can say you're not ready. Nobody's probably ready when you have kids. You got to go with it when it happens, but we're trying to prepare, and I don't think we understand what we're trying to prepare for.
Man, and listen, if you can figure out how to prepare, especially for twins, and I can't speak to that, but I can speak to having a house full of youngins, and brother, just put on a helmet and hang on, because you never know. Every day is different. It is a roller coaster ride, and some days it's easier than others, but it's always pretty daggum beautiful, man. So congrats to you guys. That's awesome. And now your tackle addiction is really going to be tripled.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. My wife, Bella, she's already asked me, are you going to want the boys to fish? And I'm like, honey, I want them to do whatever they want to do. I'll support whatever they want to do, but I'm sure they follow me around much. They're probably going to be wanting to fish. And then I'm probably going to be like Marty Robinson, except worse. They're going to be the same age, taking the trolling motor from me, fighting me over which rod they get and all this and that. It'll be a good time though. I look forward to it.
More guns, more bows, more camo, more tree stands. Trust me. Once my boys got to the age where they're like, oh, Dad, this is what we want to do too. We want to go hunting. We want to turkey hunt and deer hunt with you. And you're like, awesome. And then you're like, oh, you outgrow your camouflage every 3 weeks and your boots and your thing. Because I'm enough to take care of. Listen, Marissa will tell you that. I'm a lot to deal with all the time. But, buddy, you have 3 of me, and it's a different deal. So I wish you the best of luck, and also congrats to you and your bride. That's going to be fun times. I've got an October baby too. Hudson, my oldest, he's October. He's 10/10. So October's always been a special month around here, man. So congratulations on that for sure. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, whoo. Yeah, thank you.
It's going to be wild for sure. But I'm looking forward to it. I really need to go ahead and win another BPT event this year, and that way I've got enough money to put back and pay for all the camo and the extra bows and
Amen.
rods, and all that stuff. It's going to be a lot for sure.
Amen to that. All right, one last thing. You had arguably some of the best flow in the game, dude. You were rocking. I mean, you had the Hatfield mullet for a while. Like every picture that would pop up for years of you, you had it, and now it's gone. It did it, but it clearly didn't take away from your powers. Will we ever see it come back?
Man, so I let my hair grow out for like a year and a half, and it got long. It got long enough to where I could put it in a ponytail. I mean, it was pretty crazy. And we had something to do. I can't remember what it was. But I decided, man, I'm not gonna go in there wearing a suit and tie with my hair all hanging out and stuff. And I'm not gonna put it up in a man bun either. I was kind of over that deal. So I just decided to whack it off. Bella was she was ready for it to go, but I haven't cut it since, and it's been 6, 7 months since I got it cut. So I'm probably just gonna let it grow again
Okay,
and
here we go.
let it get back out there, and then we might cut it again. Just keep repeating the cycle.
Yeah. Well, since it's been 7 months and you just won a big one, now you can tell your wife, look, it brought us good luck. I just get to have long hair forever.
Yeah, that's right. I probably would have kept it I had a had a chance to do it over, but it'll grow back. It's just hair.
Well, buddy, I'm 41. It don't always grow back. Let me just tell you.
Yeah, well, I know that's kind of what I've got a little bit of a receding hairline, so I'm like, I probably need to let it grow out and keep it. And early on, after I cut it, I started out the year with a couple bad finishes, and I was like, I can't believe you made me cut my hair. I've literally lost everything. It's because I cut my hair. I know it is. And then now I've had a couple good events and won one. So it definitely wasn't the hair, but we're probably going to let it grow back out.
Send it, bud. I say, as long as you can grow it, send it. I tell my boys that all the time. Listen, I've got a big old bald spot starting on top. Marissa sent me a picture Memorial Day weekend. She said, look at these kids from like 11 years ago. And I had beautiful flowing hair. And I'm like, don't ever cut your hair, man. Don't cut your hair. There's probably a lot of low lifers listening to this that would disagree with that, but I'm all about that long hair life. Go ahead, man. I'm part redneck, part hippie, part rock and roll or whatever. Like bring it. I say, I love it, man. Nick Hatfield, this has been a pleasure, man. We'll have to do this again. You don't live far enough away that we can't do one of these in person. So we need to do one of these old low budget lives where we sit around. I might have to meet y'all in the middle somewhere, and me and you and Bullet sit around, chew the fat sometime. That'd be a good time.
Yeah, dude, it would for sure. That would be awesome. I appreciate you having me on here. Maybe I'll just win Kentucky Lake and I'll just swing in there, and we can do it there at your place or something on the way home.
I ain't far away at all, man. And listen, I think like Justin Lucas will tell you, LBL every now and then will bring you some luck. He has won a couple times right after he's been on. I'm not taking credit for it, but I'm taking credit for it.
Well, hopefully that's the case. I'll take any of the luck I can get, man.
Me and you both, man. Nick Hatfield, everybody, make sure you're following Nick on all social media platforms. He is absolutely one to watch in the sport of bass fishing. He has been for a minute, but more and more folks starting to know that Nick Hatfield name. You don't want him running you down. There ain't no doubt about that. Appreciate you, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's all she wrote with Nick Hatfield. I appreciate Nick taking so much time with us today and spending it with the low lifers. And I appreciate you low lifers checking that out. Nick sent me a really cool text after we got through recording and said, I can scratch that off of my fishing bucket list. I've been an LBL fan for a long time, and this was very special to me. And that blows my mind when that gets said. And man, because I'm a redneck that enjoys fishing, and I've been doing this for 8 years, man. So I appreciate Nick coming on, and I appreciate the kind words from Nick on that for sure. I'm going to take you out with some Biloxi Blues like I do each and every week. I'm going to see y'all next time. Thank y'all.
From Jackson Town to Tupelo, I never could make it last. Spanish moss, a Civil War ghost, well, I'm gonna leave them in the past. direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter east or west, north, south, wherever the wind blows. I'm leaving those burdens at rest.